Welcome home, my friends. You have found the Brain Software Podcast. This is episode 267, and I'm Chris Thompson, speaking from the Hypnotic World Epicenter, Toronto, Canada. Today, Mike Mandel and I discuss the ways that we use AI to learn faster and have even better lives, and more than that. So stay tuned.
Disclaimer, despite switching to the brilly word Bavarch instead of saying Lucci, some people are never satisfied and want us to desist immediately, and it's their right to do so. But here's my question to those who would seek to control us. Can you really stop us? Can you stop us at all?
Bavarch!
Hey, Breach Clout, what's going down, Scrotelius? Things are really far out, man. I've been studying language lately. Can say a few words in Brilly now, like thwales, kralis, and arriva. And as I was cracking back and learning a ton of stuff about the Indus River Valley, I wondered something. Who watches the Watchers, Scro? And on another note, whatever happened to that old tranquility we used to experience on a nearly daily basis?
Bavarch! So let's welcome to the shores of the hypnotic Indus River the recrowned backgammon champion of Minden, Ontario, who turned the most recent match into a mentalism effect. He's the sharpest brick in the elevator, and he is the Keith Moon of Hypnosis, Mike Mandel, everybody.
Let's take a moment and just address this backgammon thing, because
Okay,
it bears
how did you
mentioning.
turn backgammon into a mentalism
You're going to love
effect?
this. So my wife, I've been training her in backgammon for years. She's a quick study. She's gotten very, very good. And she actually stole my championship last year and beat me.
Oh, yeah.
And so
remember
that
you
was
told me
fair.
that.
So at the cabin this year, we played a bunch. We're still up there till tomorrow. Played a bunch of stuff. And she won a match quite well. And then he said the next one is the 5-game match to determine the Minden champion, which is the champion of the world.
Between the two of
essentially.
you,
Between the
basically,
two of us, yes. So it was the following night.
I love it.
And I got the sheet that we mark everything on, and I made a note on it at the top and put the pad there. Not only
Let
did
me
I
guess,
win,
a prediction?
yes,
Okay.
that I would win the match 5-1, and that's exactly what I won by manipulating the. She said, "How did you do that? You're using some kind of devilish power here." I said, "No." I said, "It's if I hadn't won 5-1, I wouldn't have shown you the prediction. First of all,
That's
the
right.
first out.
Duh. Yeah.
Secondly, I won using the cube, knowing when she would refuse when I doubled, and just it was
Because you
brilliant.
calibrated her over
Yes.
the years.
All
Yeah,
right.
So you had a bit of an... Okay, that's hilarious. I just want to call out my sister who
Call out
lives
my
in
cop.
Warsaw. When she was here this summer, she brought me
That looks
this
very
awesome-
Polish.
Yeah, very Polish mug. And, of course, this is the first time we're recording a podcast since I have returned from my
in
amazing...
victory.
Yeah, from my amazing European vacation,
Oh, it's a
European
tour. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tour. So my wife set this whole thing up as my 50th birthday party / our vacation. And it was amazing. We went to Warsaw in Poland. We then went to Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Shout out to Renee Klein.
I saw the
guy who
picture.
got bit by
Excellent
a squirrel
guy.
in our
Excellent guy.
class many years ago. Renee just happened to be in the Netherlands at that time, so we got together. That was fun. Had a beer with him. And then from Amsterdam, we went on through Germany, France. We were in Strasbourg, Germany. Shout out to Nico. And we
Yam?
went to, I didn't run into him there. No, don't do that. We'll talk about that at some point. Strasbourg, France. Then we went through to Switzerland and then Italy. What country am I missing here along the way? I think that's it. 6
Switzerland,
countries.
Italy, Poland, France, Germany,
Netherlands.
and the Netherlands.
Yeah,
right.
that's 6 countries, and it was amazing. And 1 week of the
Netherlands.
2
That's
weeks.
Holland to those of you in Kirkland Lake.
Well, Holland is part of it.
I know. Just
Yeah.
tell them so they
The
guideline.
I just want to also give a shout out. There's this, if we could get what do you call it? A sponsorship deal, I would. These guys are so freaking awesome.
Yes.
The company that we used for our riverboat cruise, because we went down the Rhine River, it's called AMA Waterways. AMA Waterways. Amazing. If you ever want to do a tour, go tour on a river boat cruise with that company. They're phenomenal.
Not a paid commercial.
Yeah. No,
That's good, man.
we're going to put it this way. They don't even know I exist other than they have my credit card on file somewhere. We'll be going again.
Well, that's nice, man.
Yeah.
It's probably more expensive than what I did for my 70th, a $1,500 Michelin meal. But
and we went out to that whiskey bar and stuff.
wearing the Halliburton Huskies hockey team shirt, which is hoodie.
No one can hear you. You're not
Freaking
talking into the
amazing.
mic. I'm just
Talking
kidding.
loud
I'm
enough.
just
I'm
kidding.
saying I'm
I'm
wearing
just
it.
kidding.
Hockey, yeah.
All right,
Halliburton,
so-
Minden.
We're recording this in mid-October.
Are we recording?
But by the time we publish this, the Architecture of Hypnosis will already be over. So we're not going to promote anything other than, well, the May edition of Architecture of Hypnosis is coming up. So go to our website, MikeMandelHypnosis.com. You can
Could
check
be the
out,
last one ever.
giving a URL.
You never know.
Go to the URL, MikeMandelHypnosis.com, click on the events, and you can sign up for the May class, which is running May 2025. Let's move on, though. We have so much to cover in this episode.
Well, not really. A lot of crap, but a few good things.
Now, let's start with this. We're going to talk about AI. When we were planning, how are we going to do this particular podcast? AI is a fairly new thing, right? Artificial intelligence. Of course, everybody in the world seems to have at least a free version of ChatGPT and an account with OpenAI for ChatGPT. Right. We've been using it for quite a while. And originally it started off as just lame stuff like, oh, I'd like to write a blog post on such and such a topic. Can you draft it up for me? And we've realized that it's way better than that. You can actually use it to learn and accelerate learning and have a better life, which we have lots and lots of examples of. But just to start off for fun, I see you have a note in here about the Mike Mandel Dick chant.
Okay, now let's
go ahead with this.
So first of all, let's just let everyone know you taught the captain of your riverboat ship to do the Dick chant.
Oh, I taught.
And
yes,
I suspect you were both probably drinking at that time.
A little bit of wine, yes. Yeah. But I taught him the Dick chant. He thought it was hilarious.
Did he do it? Did you get him to actually do it?
No, I didn't get him to actually do it.
That's the difference between you and I. I would have gotten him to do it.
Yeah. Oh, man, that was fun, though.
So I asked ChatGPT about the Dick chant. I said, tell me about the Dick chant. Here's what it actually said.
Did you even say?
I said Mike Mandel Dick chant. That was it. And it said, the Mike Mandel Dick chant is actually something that comes through Mike Mandel's Brain Software podcast.
Mike Mandel's?
It's a playful and humorous part of the podcast where Mike and his co-host Chris Thompson have fun with wordplay, especially around the absurd and silly. The chant itself isn't anything lewd or offensive, proven, thank you, but it is just part of their quirky humor and inside jokes that regular listeners of the podcast have come to enjoy. It's meant to be goofy and not taken too seriously.
I'd say that's perfect. That's an A+.
Not bad.
Which is why using AI to learn. I mean, if you wanted to know what is the Dick chant,
you could have asked it.
You could ask it, right? Which to me, we were talking about this. Timothy and I were talking about this. Timothy September, head of coaching at Mike Mandel Hypnosis and also co-founder of Picthos alongside me. And we were discussing the idea that, where was I just saying?
No, I don't know. Something about Stephen Hawking.
Man, I completely lost my thread there.
There we are. First sign of stroke.
No idea what the heck I was just saying.
So, Timothy, you mentioned Timothy.
Yeah, I mentioned Timothy and that we were talking about some. Oh, I can't even.
No, you got to keep struggling with it. It's going to be interesting.
I'm going to have to stop the recording, watch the replay, merge in where I was.
Okay, so let's just keep moving.
No idea where I was. So, all right, we're gonna move forward.
Let's do the CTA.
Yeah, the call to action, the free community. Go to MikeMandelHypnosis.com/free group, and you can join the free brain software community, which is awesome. All right, let's do the think tank.
Let's do it.
Then we're going to talk about how we use AI and what we have found about getting smarter with artificial intelligence.
Well, keeping with the whole AI connection here, I got AI to give me the think tank words.
Okay,
give me three random nouns. Certainly, Mike.
Right.
And here they are. Guitar. Yes. Elephant. And river.
I'm just sitting here smiling because I actually know what all three of those words mean.
I should hope so. They're the English language, which we both speak.
So you want to go first?
No, you go ahead.
All right, guitar. Well, I happen to have a Stratocaster right there in the corner, off camera. Nice. Guitar. I think about infinite capability, infinite flexibility.
Did you say infant?
Infinite.
Oh.
Think about it's 6 strings tuned to different notes on a fretboard. But the magic that people can produce with it, you know, one person flamenco style, another person Jimi Hendrix style, anything in between, there's just an insane level of flexibility that you can do.
You know what Beethoven said about the guitar? He said it's like a miniature orchestra. He loved it.
Yeah, that's what it makes me think of.
Well, to me, it's pretty much the same. But I'm doing phonological ambiguity. We can have guitar to Qatar.
Which is the cunt.
Phlegm.
Like,
no, phlegm. Catarh or whatever it is.
Okay.
My mom would say, have you got a bit of Qatar? I didn't anybody freaking talk like that.
Guitar to
phlegm.
bronchitis to death.
pneumonia to death to Dracula. Got it.
So
good.
that's how
Okay.
we're playing the Dracula
good.
game. Okay.
So elephant. What do you think of? I think of something powerful, something
yeah.
actually with a good memory, because they say elephants never forget.
Yeah. I also think about, most people think of an elephant as very, very gentle,
Cumbersome?
very gentle.
Gentle.
Quiet and gentle. But I think it was on
Until
whatever,
it cranks your
YouTube or
pouch
something.
with its trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These elephants, man, if you upset them, they will destroy you, right? So don't underestimate somebody who you think is just the quiet, easy, gentle.
Okay. I know everyone at home is laughing now because that was so freaking brilliant.
What did you
said
say?
they're gentle. I said, yeah, until they neck crank your pouch with their trunk. With their trunk. Neck crank it. Okay. So that's good. Gentle, never forgetting. So to me, that says use your power gently and never forget the good people do. So you can be kind and never forget the slight so you can neck crank.
Okay, now we're wasting too much time on this.
This is
so
not
let's move
wasting.
on to-
This
I
is
know.
quality.
Let's move on.
What
to
about river?
Okay, so since I just finished this riverboat cruise on the river on the Rhine,
Yeah.
here's what I noticed. It's a pretty narrow river, but at some spots, the current is freaking insane. Like, you would not want to get caught. Even if you're a great swimmer like I am, I wouldn't
Yes, he
want to
is.
be in there.
Right.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
So river, again, a body of water, looks like it's probably fine, but there are danger spots. So watch out for the danger spots.
Yes, because they're introjects and will kill you.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
That was a joke, in case anyone's
It's all
wondering.
right. Now,
All right.
Here, I've got a challenge for you, though, and I've got a really good one here. My challenge to you is Sid Vicious of the Sex Pistols with Johnny Rotten. He was the bass player. He's dead. But the dead, it doesn't figure in my method here. Sid Vicious to Dracula.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I got a great one.
Okay.
Heather actually got it. My wife got it.
All right.
She knew right away. Sid Vicious to Gary Oldman, the actor, to Dracula. He played Dracula and he played
You
Sid Vicious.
told me about
No, I
this
didn't.
the
I
other
told you
day.
Winston Churchill.
Oh,
This
that was
is
it.
Gary Oldman to Dracula.
Okay.
Any part, here's a hint if you want to do the Dracula game well. Any role that Gary Oldman has ever played can be your lead in and you can get to Dracula. I mean, it's just fantastic stuff. You wouldn't get that on some other hypnosis podcast because they really don't care like we do.
All right.
So there. Okay.
All
I'm
right,
not even
so
talking to the mic.
we are talking about. Oh man, we made some notes on this that I somehow are magically missing, Mike.
No, they're all here. They're
Yeah.
all here.
All right.
Yeah, there's also stuff following the break. This is it.
Good point. Right. Okay. Well, there we go. I'm
So, Chris,
charging you for
how
noticing.
do we use AI to learn faster? Now, what's interesting is, you know, for years I've said, if I had the time and the interest, I would put out a product which is 100 languages of the world, the most in order of the most well known or spoken by the largest number of people down.
Once you get to 99 and 100, it's probably
Sorry, that's right.
80
Really
20
is-
If you could do this in the top 10 languages, which
You're
we
right.
haven't told you what this is yet.
Really, of course,
Yeah.
being one of them.
Yeah.
So you're going to say, I speak your language. I speak and understand your language perfectly, but refuse to do so for personal reasons. So if they say anything back to you in, Hungarian or Bulgarian or whatever, you just respond in their language. Your only other phrase with, "You heard me."
Yeah.
That's it. Now it seems like you understand
So
everything.
you
they're
know how
saying.
to say two things.
But AI is a great way to do this because I said, give me this phonetically. How do I say in Hungarian, I understand your language perfectly, but refuse to speak it for personal reasons? And it's that simple. You can actually do it right now.
And
Let's
if you
do an experiment. I'm not done.
If you do it as a voice chat.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's try
says,
it.
drinking
Here.
more
So do you want me to
coffee.
grab the ChatGPT app? And
Yes, I do.
Let me see if I can. Let me switch it to advanced mode for chat. And then we have to.
cup of coffee there,
Whoops.
Christopher.
That's not what I meant to do.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this again.
Herman Goering liked coffee.
All right. Bear with me for a moment here. I'm going to hold my. Here we go. So.
Oh, my neck. Dead air, filling the dead air.
If you talk on advanced mode, it screws it up. So
Dang.
you have to remain silent. Please say in Polish, I speak and understand your language perfectly, but refuse to do so for personal reasons.
Mówię I rozumiem doskonale w twoim języku, ale odmawiam używania go z powodów osobistych.
Who the
There you
hell
go.
could say that?
Okay, so there you go. You
Okay, I'll
can.
be leaving Polish off the list.
Point being,
Again,
yeah, it is a bit strange. Oh man, I was having a good time having my sister teach me the pronunciation
A beer.
because it's an interesting language where once you know the rules, it's not like English where sometimes these letter combinations
Yeah.
are this thing,
Vowel,
and sometimes it's these
enough.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always the same. And so, yeah. Anyway,
Don't you find
Point
that
being-
limits them somehow?
with AI, anything that used to be somewhat of a challenge, like how would you have done this when you first told me about this joke 15 years ago or something?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to have this product. It's the top 100 languages of how to pronounce and say perfectly this phrase and that phrase. How would you have done that? You would have had to recruit somebody who knew the language,
a native
teach
speaker,
you, or Google search for a million years to find out all the different rules, and you wouldn't have been sure if it was correct. And then this is pretty much perfect. And
that's
done.
amazing. I used it a while back for my own personal aggrandizement. I just wanted to thoroughly understand how the periodic table works.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the number of.
Let's just make sure that the foundational concept is laid out here. That our attitude about using AI is, imagine that you have an expert on any subject, your own personal expert at your fingertips, right? So chemistry, you wanted to learn how the layout of the periodic table works.
The atomic number,
Right.
all of the
So
isotopes.
what did you do?
Well, I just asked it, and it just taught me through. I said, explain the periodic table to a 16-year-old kid. That was it. So I wanted it simplified, because even though I'm 71 and freaking brilliant, I thought, let's give me a simple version. I don't need to hear all, the Atavachron theory of
pretend I'm a high school
genocide or
student.
something.
Pretend I'm new to this.
But
Right.
as you know, I created an AI
A ChatGPT, a custom
thing.
GPT.
Yeah. And he's got a Doctor of Science degree. He's got a Doctor of Medicine.
Right.
His PhDs are in psychology, also in gemology, earth science, oceanography, meteorology. I just went down the list, and I can ask him
The funny
anything.
thing is,
he said some weird stuff
Now-
about you.
The funny thing is these
Hilarious.
in case anyone is, most people are probably listening going, what the heck is a custom GPT, etc.
Yeah.
If you have the $20 a month subscription to OpenAI, you can create your own custom GPTs and basically give them instructions and say, you are an expert in, and then list all these areas, or you can give it a bunch of instructions. The funny thing though is you don't need to do that. It will just tailor the answers based on the instruction set you give it. But if you don't give it any instructions, you can still prompt it with like the general OpenAI model. You can still prompt it and say, I have a problem with my cat. I want you to act as the smartest veterinarian in the world.
Yeah,
This is
that's
the
scary.
problem.
Make
And
up the answers.
it'll then start having a dialogue with you about the issue. So even with the free version, whatever, you can do all kinds of miracles.
But don't you find it makes stuff up sometimes? September Man was telling me if it gives it a list of things to do, he said it does really well in the first 25%. He said then it gets lazy and starts dropping the rules and just throwing a bunch of crap.
Yeah, I mean,
at
if you ask it to, I don't know, do 50 things, it might get a bit wonky towards the end of the list. But what I find, here's what I'm using it for. When I want to learn something, I'll give you an example. Like we were just talking about this. So right before my trip, my dog got sprayed by a skunk.
that was brilliant.
We've had this dog 6 years, Ollie. And we leave him to go outside in the yard and pee or whatever. And at nighttime, he'll go out and sometimes he'll bark at stuff, right? As dogs do.
Yeah.
Comes back in. Well, 6 years go by. We've had this dog and he comes in and he's been sprayed by a skunk.
Uh-oh.
This happens to be the night before we fly to Poland.
Now, where did it get him? On his body?
I think it
or
was on
head?
his snout.
Yeah, it
stuff
goes
like
for
that.
the eyes.
I cleaned it up as best I could. And then it was hilarious because we left my 17-year-old daughter at home for 2 weeks. And
You shouldn't be saying
so
this stuff.
she and my in-laws who were also
Okay,
in
good.
town.
They were here.
She had care.
They're armed too, so don't come on.
So she was making fun of us, like, you leave us, you leave me with this dog, and you just take off to your anyway. Clean him up, come back. So here we are back 2 and a bit weeks later. It happens again. So I'm realizing
Under whose watch?
Well, I opened the door, so it's clearly
your
my
watch.
fault, Mike,
Yeah,
right?
clearly.
Yeah. So my wife,
not the dog's
of course, my wife's logic here is that you're the one who opened the door, so it's your fault.
Why didn't you take him out on a leash, like out front or something?
Well, because for 6 years I've had no issues.
Right, and that's why it's called the first time.
Yeah, it was the second time in this case.
What does that say?
And the second time was worse. Anyway, fast forwarding. So I realized I got a problem here, and I don't know anything about dealing with skunks.
Yeah,
but
you do
the
now.
problem is this thing probably lives in my backyard.
Did.
Now, in the past, I would have had to go to Google and do a whole bunch of reading and articles and all that.
But not now.
No, now. All I do is I go into AI and I say, hey, my dog got sprayed twice in 2.5 weeks in my backyard. Give it all the details in the evening after dark. And
In the night, in the
this
dark.
makes me think there's a good chance that maybe there's a skunk actually in my yard.
Oh, you think?
What do you think? And it starts educating me on everything, what to look for, what signs I should look for, where they live. I didn't know that they burrow and live under my shed, for example, and they live alone. So there's only one of them. There's not likely to be more than one. So all this information, instead of me having to read an article passively, I can actively ask questions and get educated
clarifications coming back,
level responses.
Yeah.
So I learned how to find out that there probably was a skunk living in the yard, how to find the signs, how to figure out where it was likely living and burrowing, what kind of bait to use, what kind of live trap to buy,
what kind of shampoo to use on your dog.
Everything, yeah. How to clean everything, yeah, like hydrogen peroxide, for example. Anyway, nice thing is this morning, just before you came here, I checked the trap that I had set last night.
Now, this is a live trap, not a leg hold.
Live trap. Very humane. I caught the darn thing using a cracker
you
and
called him
peanut
this
butter.
morning.
Yeah, the little stinky little, I called him a cute little bugger. Actually.
He was a cute little fellow.
And I released him into the wild about 5 kilometers away from my house into some woods. So I wouldn't have known any of this. Well, I would have had the internet as my resource, but it would have taken
searching in the searchery.
It would have taken hours to get the same education that I got in about 10 minutes.
Brilliant. That's brilliant.
And the cool thing is the conversation is saved, right? So I could come back to it and a day or two or several later,
they still pick up.
And then just resume the conversation. And it's like my personal expert was there having that conversation with me. I leave and then I come back and go,
and he picks up where you left off.
Boom.
Now, here's what I think you should do, and this to me would completely experience the brilliance of it. You should train the GPT that if it happens a third time, instead of giving you information, it does the dick chant. Dick, dick,
That's right.
Dick.
That's right. So,
fantastic.
Okay, so I use it to teach me stuff. What do you use it for? What do you find?
I use it for medical things quite a lot because my Dr. Science is an MD as well.
Yeah.
And so I have a naturopath one, chiropractor naturopath one. I'll ask sometimes for supplements. But when it's getting into things like I was losing muscle, as you know, which at my age can happen. It happens after age 50.
Captain Sarcopenia.
Yeah. That's not acceptable.
No.
So Chris has got me on creatine and everything, and I checked with.
Well, I got myself on it too.
Got himself on it.
Another thing we
checked
learned,
with the medical doctor and GPT, and he gave me all the right information. He said it's all good news. He said it's reversible.
Yeah.
Put the muscle bulk back on and not look like frickin' George Burns, who got so small by the end he could dance on your hand.
Well, and that's you know where that came from, Mike. Was I was reading on social media, and somebody who's a fairly authority figure in the fitness space wrote a comment that said anybody over the age of 50
That's interject.
should. Anybody over the age of 50 should be taking creatine as a supplement. I thought, okay, that's interesting. So immediately on to ChatGPT, tell me everything you know about creatine. But I didn't just leave it there. I said, because I was reading on social media, and I don't know if this is true, and I want your opinion, that anyone over the age of 50 should be taking it. Is this reality? I've always been lifting weights and doing fitness all my life, but I've never taken it. What do you think? Give it a lot of context.
Yeah.
And it comes back and it basically says to me, actually, yes, it's one of the most well-researched supplements ever. It's very effective. Yeah, it's very effective. You don't need, here's the dosage. Here's how the regimen works. Creatine phosphate versus creatine monohydrate.
And monohydrate's
the one that
just
I
as
thought
good.
Wasn't as good. And I go, nope, that's the one all the research has been done on. It's actually cheaper. It's very effective. Here's what you should do to buy it, blah, blah,
Plus,
blah,
with
blah.
the phosphate, I'd be concerned of adding too much phosphorus to the system.
I don't know.
Because it upsets the calcium-phosphorus balance in the parathyroid.
And you know what? If I wanted to know that, I would ask that question rather than try to find a bunch of articles on it. So bottom line is, I went on to Amazon and I bought a supplement. I told you which one. You started using it.
So I started buying it.
Yeah, I just love it. I find that when I'm a curious individual, I think anyone listening to the Brain Software podcast probably has a tendency to want to get smarter and learn new things. I would hope right?
so. I mean,
because
good grief.
It occurred to me that what we do, yes, we teach hypnosis. That's the primary thing we do. But we do a lot more than just hypnosis, right? We're interested in being intelligent, always moving forward, learning.
And having a great life as the result.
And what better thing than to hear something and, like you'd hear a word and go, I don't know what that word actually means. I'm going to go look it up in the dictionary. This is like that, but on steroids. Literally, like you can take a concept that instead of a word, you hear a phrase and you want to know what's the genesis of that phrase. And you say, hey, explain to me the whole 9 yards. Where does that come from? And it'll tell you the history. Or explain to me anything that you hear, if somebody makes a reference to a historical figure or a historical battle or story, you just ask ask the AI to explain it to you like you are a total novice, and you learn things and you become smarter. So back to years ago, when you used to say, and we still love the great courses, thegreatcourses.com, this is like being able to do miniature versions of that.
Totally.
Anytime you go, I'm interested in a topic, boom, you just ask.
Right. And as you know, I set up an SAS Soldier GPT based on the CV of my friend Alan Bell, who was 13 years in the SAS. And so I can ask it security questions and things. What are the three most important self-defense techniques everybody needs? A great question, Mike. In the field, when you're adrenaline, and it gives me solid information.
Yeah.
Now, here's the two I wanted to mention to you.
Yeah,
one of them is, I heard one of my favorite, probably my favorite country song is by George Jones, who since died. They called him the Possum. He looks like a possum. Looks sort of like Jim Carrey.
Okay.
He did a song called Who's Gonna Fill Their Shoes? All about the greats who were dying or had died. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not paying attention.
I'm the greats who have dying.
Yeah, if you repeat it back doesn't mean you're listening.
Yeah, I'm listening.
You're on a replay. Okay, anyway. I didn't know some of the stuff in the song. I said, in the song, Who's Gonna Fill Their Shoes? Can you explain all the metaphor and symbols? Certainly, Mike. Spelled it all out instantly. So I pushed it. I was listening, my wife and I we're listening to Haley Westenra, who has this crystal clear voice and really nice album. But there's a song on her album where you can hear this guy, I told you this the other day, doing this sort of chanting thing in the background. It's quite emotional, but I couldn't tell what language it was, which annoyed me, not knowing. And I said, do you know what that guy is saying in the Haley Western? Yes, Mike, of course. He's speaking Maori.
You're a bit off frame. Just
there we are. It's the
there you go. Yeah.
He's speaking Maori.
Okay.
Because she's a New Zealander. And it went through. I thought, instantly, it knows the song. It knows what language the guy's speaking. If you're not available, all that to say, and I am liking this thing on the left being able to turn now.
Yes.
And in truth.
I don't need to make a new desk now. No,
not anymore. But, well, yes. But if you're not using AI, you got to ask yourself why, because it will make your life so much easier if you learn to use it properly. And
that's it.
The prompt is crucial.
This is the thing. I think if we could boil it down, it's don't use AI to just do stuff for you.
Yeah. Write a letter to my mom and tell her I'm going to,
In work, you can start, like we use it in our company all the time. We can use it to brainstorm ideas. You can use it to summarize Zoom conversation transcripts. Like if we have a client meeting, we'll record the whole thing and then send the audio transcript in and say, give me the key points. What did we agree to as action items on both sides? Very useful for that, like your own little secretary or something. Little AI, your own AI secretary.
Nice.
Or your own assistant to help proofread documents, to help clean up language, to rewrite things in a more effective manner. If something's in passive voice and you want it more active voice, you can do it. That's great. That's a great thing to get stuff done. But we're talking here about learning. Think brain software. This is like this outside tool that you can plug into your brain anytime you need to learn something.
Yes, exactly. I'm reading a book on pianists recommended by my piano teacher. Yes, I'm learning piano. And I just said, tell me about the life of Franz Liszt. What made him amazing? Oh, glad to, Mike, the musicologist, one of my GPTs. Amazing. Now, let's just look at this for a second here. Now, I've done your thing. I've completely forgotten where I was going. But it was all about the GPT. Oh, I know what it was. Yeah, and you said mostly learning, but for convenience. I write a Sunday newsletter, and if you don't get it, you need to.
Open mic. It's part of the free. It's part of the free group. So if you join the Brain Software free community, you're on our mailing list by default, and you will get the open mic newsletter, which is written by Mike Mandel.
It'll always give you useful information. People tell me it's the only newsletter they read.
We've been doing this over 2 years.
Shoot, I'm running out of ideas. Not. But here's the thing. Used to be, I'd write it. I'm a good writer, so is Chris. I won a prize from the Toronto Star.
But editing your own work is always a challenge, isn't it?
Yes. And so we would always check each other's work. But now I write it, I put it in ChatGPT and say, here's my my Sunday newsletter. Please check it for style and sweep it for grammatical or spelling mistakes. Keep the integrity of it, and you just bang, done.
This is the thing.
Tweaks it, but
when you do that,
it's perfect.
It makes very few changes.
Yes.
It doesn't rewrite things. It just goes, this sentence could be better written this way.
Could be punchier.
You missed a comma here. There's not supposed to be a hyphen between these two words.
But I don't do it that way anymore. I used to do it that way. Now I just say, don't give me the reasons, just rewrite the whole thing.
Yes, exactly.
With these rules. Yes, exactly.
Right, with the rules. And then you would just see the two versions, Mike's original and Mike's finished, edited by GBT, and they're largely identical. It's just that Small changes are made for writing, and grammar and spelling is fixed.
Now, having said all that, I want to give you some credit here. Despite the fact that you, me, Michael C. Anthony, and September Man all went to your amazing cottage, which has 4 places you can have fires. Down at the
that was
lake,
awesome.
In a built-in table outside, 2 fireplaces indoors. We had the best time, the 4 of us. A lot of shouting, especially him at 3 a.m.
Some guitar.
Shouting, a lot of shouting, a lot of go to
music.
sleep, Chris. Why are we going to sleep? Because it's 3 a.m. We're asleep. Why aren't you guys hanging? Because we're trying to sleep. Anyway, it was a blast. But Chris made, and I have to credit him in this, because I don't typically think of you as cooking that often, although you do great beef, you do great steaks. He made a tandoori chicken that was to frickin' die for lunch on the first day with rice.
Yeah.
It was fabulous. Now, how did you do that, Chris?
All I knew is that I knew I liked tandoori chicken.
Yeah.
And originally, I liked it the way, remember our friend Raj from jiu-jitsu class, and also he took our hypnosis class. He came over, remember we did a barbecue at my house years ago, and he made this wonderful tandoori chicken using drumsticks.
He came over?
Yeah.
No recollection.
Remember Ryan and Raj and the jiu-jitsu gang? We were having a little barbecue. And back when Ryan was on his grape fast, so grape juice fast, so he didn't actually eat any of the amazing food. He just
damn it, his blood sugar was sure high.
Poured grape juice. Anyway, that's what I wanted to duplicate. But you said, no, don't do drumsticks because I don't like having to eat with my hands.
Yeah, and the bones in it.
And use chicken thigh.
Boneless, skinless chicken thigh.
So I said to ChatGPT, I would like to have a recipe to make tandoori chicken using skinless, boneless chicken thighs.
Yeah.
Can you help me out? And it just gave me the recipe.
Aren't you glad I didn't say, who is this?
And it was so easy. In fact, I made it again last night.
No
I
way.
didn't tell you that.
I
made it for my family last night. It's freaking phenomenal. I prefer the coconut milk version versus the yogurt version, by the way.
Yeah, coconut milk moves it into Thai, but that's good.
Yeah, actually, at the cottage, I did a half-half.
Yep.
Which
that's nice.
Which was nice. And then last night, I didn't have coconut milk, so I only used yogurt.
Now, when you're saying yogurt, you don't mean one of these like strawberry yogurt.
No.
With all the sugar.
Just plain yogurt. Just plain yogurt. Anyway, I'm not going to explain. This is not a cooking podcast. But the point is, I didn't know how to do this, but I knew that if I just mix the ingredients together and follow the steps, it would be fine and it would work. And it was fantastic. So I didn't have to go searching for a recipe and then reading some big preamble. Every cooking recipe out there, every recipe blog seems to be, my grandmother used to make this. And let me tell you the story about how she emigrated to Canada and brought her wonderful family history. And here's where she likes to shop for her ingredients. And then, oh, by the way, at the bottom, after 5,000 words, here's the recipe. It's insane. So ChatGPT to the rescue. It just gives me the recipe, and it turned out to be fantastic.
That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, and it really was spectacular.
We should
food nut.
We have lots of other things we want to cover. We should probably move to our commercial break.
We better do that,
and then
buddy.
We want to end this podcast in like less than 10 minutes.
So good luck with that.
Let's do it. And now we bring you a special report from Hypno North, Meaford, Ontario.
Yeah, how are you tonight? Thanks once again. Well, as your old pal Brado here, with an update on hypnosis and all the usual stuff I have to endure up here in Grey County, the center of everything that shouldn't be. So, the Red Rooster Diner has been sold. Some of you might remember I drove through the back wall of the restaurant and might have punched Billy Dials in the face, too. Anyway, Billy said that Meaford's too violent a city now, and he's selling the diner and moving out in the country to get away. Well, Meaford, a city, is hilarious. His idea of moving away means buying a place in Shallow Lake, which is about half an hour away if you hit these solitary traffic light right. So anyway, I've been monitoring the place in the real estate listings. Billy Dials has it listed for $2 million for the Red Rooster, which is an effing joke since the building's a piece of crap with no back wall now ever since I slammed the Dodge Ram through it and never got charged because the OPP constable, Kenny Upton's a friend of mine, and he made the charges against me disappear because I gave him my old hunting rifle and some moonshine I made a couple of years back. Anyway, the price has been dropping pretty quickly, and now Dials will sell without an inspection for $40,000 down from $2 million. So I got thinking about this and thought, if I could scrape up the cash, I could have a side hustle along with the dairy farm. Might actually do well for a frickin' change. But here's the thing. Before I could get the money together, the price dropped again down to $5,000 Canadian for a fully equipped diner with a kitchen and a jukebox too. So I went to the real estate office and saw that the Red Rooster had sold under asking, which means I might have gone for about $1,000 because Billy Dials really wanted out. Well, this was disappointing. I felt even worse when I saw Eddard bought it with money he borrowed from Duder's sister Voralaya. So there you go. So life has stepped up to the plate and drilled me in the pouch again with another line drive. Now I got to watch Eddard and Duder grinning in the grinnery like Jack the frickin' Grinner while I struggle to make ends meet. So I deliver the message to these chain-smoking, mullet-wearing Neanderthals. I stood on Eddard's porch and I did the Mandel Dick chant for about 45 minutes, which as a psychiatric technique definitely helped me feel better, although I still can't explain exactly why. So stay tuned. This probably won't end well. And this being roving reporter Brado podcasting from the epicenter of hypnotic lunacy, saying thanks again and good night.
So talk about where this is all going in the future. This whole voice conversation thing is amazing.
All right, so we're going to wrap up the AI stuff. Then we have a nice topic change that I think is going to be very interesting as well. Here's what I think is happening. Now, you know that I used to be a professional stock analyst in the technology sector, so I think I'm qualified to speak a little bit on this.
Yeah.
I think that the next major step, obviously, is voice. So instead of just texting, we already know, as we demonstrated with the whole Polish thing we did earlier, or any language,
Yep.
it works very well for voice. So I think we're going to start to see a proliferation of this in telemarketing. And so it's going to actually affect some of the outsourced call center type operations. But also think about Tesla and their humanoid robot, Optimus Prime.
I know, that freaked me out.
Think about the future of a robot that can not only see
robot
that can see things, do things, pick up, make a drink, serve a customer,
Cut your grass.
pick up the chicken, put it in the box, serve it to the customer.
Yeah, put the skunk in a
But it can also
cage,
speak
take it
to
away.
you. It can interact with you and then physically do things. So I think that's going
pretty
to change. The
amazing.
world's
Of
going
course,
to
because Elon Musk is behind it.
Mhm.
That's pretty amazing when you think about
And it won't be just him. There'll be plenty of other companies who are doing things like this. But
He's gonna be cutting
AI,
edge, though.
large language models, and voice and robotics, I think there's going to be a huge, huge evolution.
Yeah, it's called Terminators.
Yes,
And
well,
then you get
there
him
you go.
plugged into Skynet and Cyberdyne. And
Just make sure
next
that
thing
you-
you know, it's the end of the freaking world.
So
But
that's
look,
what I
have
think.
you had
What
a good time in
about
the
you?
meantime?
What do you think?
Well, I find that fascinating. The thing I've really enjoyed with it is making wallpaper for my computer, because I'll say, make me a nice Christmas wallpaper with a bull terrier asleep in the hallway of a castle.
Oh, yeah,
in
just
front of a
image
huge
generation.
Christmas tree and fire. And it is so incredibly beautiful what it's done. Now, having said that, there are the times it's really bad with hands. The person's hand will be the wrong way up with too many fingers, and it doesn't seem to like to spell simple things.
That's because you're using the AI model, OpenAI's DALL-E
see?
model. If you use different models, it's freaking amazing.
Well,
Try using X's AI called
Where do
Grok.
I get that?
I'll show you how to use it.
All right.
Yeah, but anyway, different models. But wait till you see what it can do with video mic. Hollywood's going to change forever.
Oh, man.
The budget to make special effects will go dramatically down because they don't have to set up a big scene
Sure.
for a 5-second clip.
Right.
They could AI generate that, save a bunch of money, and you will know no different.
You know where this is all going?
Where?
I predict they'll get rid of audio cassettes next.
I did
All right, that's what changed.
So there we go.
Changed.
Let's talk about.
This is the fame and censorship discussion.
Okay. So
I'll throw in interesting
I'll
points.
open up the discussion.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with somebody recently. Now, although the topic was politics, it wasn't about politics. It wasn't about a particular political viewpoint. It
Right.
was about famous people expressing their opinion politically online and whether or not they should do so. And the comment came back from the person that I was interacting with that, well, I don't think that famous people should say what they think about politics. Well, why not? Well, because they can influence a lot of people and it doesn't seem right. Okay, well, what level of fame do we draw the line at? Like, I'm a nobody. So if I say
You're Chris effing Thompson. man.
okay, but I'm not famous or anything. So if I say
You know me.
what I think about politics, and I know we got to end this podcast soon, so we'll make this a
You
quick
just wasted
discussion.
time explaining that.
If I know I'm not particularly significant in the world at large. Nobody knows who I am. So
I can help you
I
with
can
that.
have my opinion, but let's say, I don't know,
Elon
a famous celebrity like Elon Musk
to that
speaks
level,
a lot
yeah.
about politics. That's where the conversation came
Yeah.
from. But then just think of any famous person who has a huge following that they're putting out their political opinion.
Sure.
And the view was, well, that shouldn't happen because they're famous. Well, where do you draw the line? What about somebody who is, I don't know, like a well-known coach of a semi-professional football team or something? They're sort of famous. And where do you draw the line?
But let's go beyond that. Yeah. At what point is someone now too famous to have a public opinion? And here's my question. Who freaking decides? Who decides that they're too famous?
Who's the arbitrator?
Who decides who is the arbitrator?
Exactly.
So you got to keep going.
Who watches the watcher? Yeah.
Who watches the watchman? The watchers. Yeah, the bastards.
So the bottom line is, to me, the only logical answer is everybody should feel comfortable to the degree that they wish to. Because obviously if you put a political opinion out there, you open yourself up to love and hate on both sides, right? Normal. But there should not be any rule that says you can't put your opinion out there. It's wrong to put your opinion out there. Free speech is the fastest way to discover information. I remember this being explained where back in the day there was censorship in the COVID era, right? That if somebody wanted to propose like, oh, this treatment is useful. No, you can't talk about that. Facebook would ban you. The old Twitter would ban you. And one fellow made the point that even if you're saying the most ridiculous, stupid thing, you shouldn't censor any of that. Because yes, while it's possible somebody might be harmed by that misinformation, it's also the fastest way to get to discover the truth. Scientific truth is discovered.
People have lost the ability of
conversation. You can't discuss it. So anyway, I thought it was an interesting conversation around, well, who should be allowed to say what? Everybody should be allowed essentially to say anything they darn well want to within the confines of the law.
My thing is this, and I'm not taking any sides. Chris knows I'm apolitical. My wife and I are political atheists. We don't believe in politicians. Now, if someone said, oh, Elon Musk, he's too powerful, we don't want his opinion, he should be stopped, I will bet you dollars to donuts that those same people who are blocking him will be more than happy to get Taylor Swift's opinion on something.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, say about that. So if you let's say you have a famous person who's actually really well educated in a topic. Like, I don't know if Elon Musk is an expert in, he seems to be an expert in a lot of things, but some people might go, oh, he doesn't know anything about politics. Screw his politics opinions. Okay, fine. But you know what? He does know a lot about engineering. So if he has an opinion on engineering and he happens to be famous in that field, yeah, maybe we should listen to him. But let's say, yes, it's Taylor Swift or could be Bono or could be anybody who's famous in the musical scene. Should a musical celebrity be someone special that we pay attention to on topics that don't have to do with music?
Who decides?
Yes, exactly.
Who bloody well decides. This stuff drives me crazy.
But does that mean that they shouldn't be able to speak? Of course not. They should say Taylor Swift.
You don't have to listen. You're free. Sure, she does. She has
every much
right to do whatever she wants, and that's great. I love that line. I don't know who the heck said it, but it's a great one, and I wish I'd said it, and I'm about to. So in the sense, I can say that I did say it.
There you go. What are you about to say?
The fact that I may not agree. I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it.
That's a great.
That's
line.
it.
Yeah.
Even the freaking dicks out there, and you know who you are.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are.
Yeah.
All right.
I still give you a right to say whatever you want, provided you're not too dickish. Now I'm judging.
Okay. Now I'm thinking that we are going to record another podcast on, actually the next podcast, guys, is going to be great. It's on.
This was great.
Some life distinctions. Our next podcast is going to be all about cool distinctions. Now we have a couple of things here we were going to throw in this one that I don't think we have time for, so we should bump them to the next podcast.
All right, we will do that.
Does that sound good to you?
Right. I just want to talk about the censorship paradox and the corollary. Then we'll go to the two optional ones. The censorship paradox. Years ago, we had the Liquor License Board of Ontario. Now, that's not the Liquor Control Board where you go and buy booze. These are the people who determine whether or not a restaurant or a bar gets a license to sell beer, wine, whatever.
Exactly.
And there was a performing act, McLean and McLean, two brothers, did this off-color but absolutely hilarious show where the two of them would sing. And it was pretty disgusting, a lot of the stuff they said, but they were immensely popular. So the Liquor License Board got involved and tried to shut them down until people said, what does licensing liquor have to do with censoring a comedy act? And eventually people went, oh, I guess it doesn't have anything to do with it. Yeah, it's a crazy thing when we step outside that. And you get the people, and I love this. It was actually Morton Schulman who raised this point. Someone said, we've got the government board, and this is back in the 70s, early 80s. They are blocking their censors, and they're blocking magazines coming to Canada and all of this filth and this pornography, and because it's going to corrupt people, and they're spending hours a day at work staring at freaking pornography. Like, doesn't that mean they're the most corrupt people and the most perverted people on earth because they're dwelling on it to protect us? This is all nonsensical stuff. There, I've said what I wanted to say. My final point is this. There's another corollary to this, which is people tend to think when they become famous, and I'm not saying I am a moderate celebrity, although I should be huge. But here's the thing. Kidding. When people are famous, they begin to think that they're also wise, that they have something to say about everything. And it's not the case.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Okay, so we're gonna take
empowering question.
Optional stuff gets bumped to the next podcast.
Yeah.
Check it out. You're not going to want to miss the next podcast on distinction. So here is our empowering question. Then, Mike, you can give a Metafive, because it's better, and then we'll wrap it up. So here's your empowering question for episode 267, I believe I said, right?
Yes, sir, Mr.
All right, here we go. Hold on, I got to find it again now. Oh, I lost my spot.
Oh, for goodness sake. See if ChatGPT can get
Apparently, I am incompetent at
it's your mind.
Yeah,
You're losing your mind.
Here we go. I got it back.
Bring it on.
Ross will probably edit this so that we don't have all this.
No, leave it on. It's funny.
It'll be hilarious.
Empowering question, Chris. Go ahead.
Ask yourself, in light of Billy Dials selling the Red Rooster Diner for a song, what kind of opportunities are you missing through neglect? And what will you do now to ensure that Eddard and Duder don't beat you to the punch?
Brilliant. The Metafive today is about my cat, Honey, when I was growing up. We got him when we came back from England on a trip, 1960. We had the cat until I was a teenager, and he was a honey-colored cat, hence his name. He was damn smart. And we lived in a ground floor apartment overlooking McLean's Animal Hospital where I first hypnotized Wayne Gibbs. There's a ravine beside it. And it was a standard walkout door to a ground floor balcony. I would hop over until once I slid on the top and wound up hanging on the edge in exquisite pain for several seconds till I learned how to hop over better, and Wayne Gibbs taught me. Having said that, the cat had this incredible ability of spatial awareness, and he'd want to go out, and he'd go out the door and he'd howl. And my dad, he'd always pick on my dad. So he's howling at my dad. You want to go out? And he'd go to the door. My dad would open the door, and it would be 10 below zero, and the cat would just, change his mind. And as my dad put it, he would encourage him with his foot. So he'd encourage, out you go, honey. Shut the door. My dad would go back to bed. So next to the living room where this was, in the dining room, there was a spare room, which was a spare bedroom. Then there was my bedroom, and then my parents' bedroom at the far end. Each one of these had a window. Honey would go all the way down to the end of the apartment building, knowing it was my dad's window, leap up on the screen, hanging on the screen to wake him up. And he'd have to go let him back in. He knew which room and which window. Isn't that astounding?
That is awesome. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Brain Software Podcast. This has been episode 267 with Mike Mandel, and I'm Chris Thompson. And make sure you head on over to our website, MikeMandelHypnosis.com. You can sign up for our free brain software community right then and right there. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks once again. And
good
march.
night.